Hey guys, welcome to Project Write. My name is Sarah, and this is the first segment of videos where I want to introduce young writers to building a story. When I think of writing a story, I always think of some of my favorite books. In my favorite books, I think about what keeps me reading those books, what keeps me going, what keeps me wanting to know what's going to happen on the next page and the next page. So to try and help you understand that, I want you to think about a story. Let's talk about The One and Only Ivan. I'm bringing up The One and Only Ivan because Catherine Applegate is an author that wrote The One and Only Ivan, and she's about to release the new one in just a few days called The One and Only Bob. But the reason I bring it up is because in that story, you have this gorilla. And the gorilla has a bunch of other friends, but they aren't in the wild. They aren't even in a zoo. Their situation is such that they are actually in a type of a shopping mall that sits off of a highway, and there's this billboard or this big sign out there, and it attracts people into the shopping mall to see these animals. So as we're reading the story, a lot of us are feeling the pain that Ivan has as a gorilla in a shopping mall. He's not out in the wild. He's not in a zoo. It's not an appropriate place for a gorilla. But he makes money for the person who owns the mall. And a few of the humans really love him that are affiliated with this mall. There's a little girl in the story, and her dad works to clean the mall. But the other characters also kind of steal our hearts. But what keeps us reading? What keeps us wanting to know more? Well, what keeps us wanting to know more is all the problems that Ivan faces and the problems that his friends face, like Stella, the elephant, or Bob, the little dog that hangs out with Ivan all the time. They just have problem after problem after problem, and we keep reading so that we can see how their problems are solved. So in this lesson segment, I just want to give you an idea or a fun activity for what you can do to create problems in your stories. And when you create problems in your stories, you have to solve them. You might have a teacher that talks about problem and solution. You might have a teacher that talks about conflict, crisis, and resolution. These are just words that we use as teachers to help you kind of think about story and think about maybe even writing a story with these elements. Okay, so I want to have you create a bank. Think of yourself sitting right here with me in this room or wherever you are now. Maybe you're at your home desk, you're in your kitchen, you're in your bedroom, wherever you are. You're in a pretty normal place. But think about, where could you be catapulted? Where could you be zapped into some other place, some other problem? You're in reality now, but could you go in some fantasy type place that would be a problem? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paper, I'm going to draw a circle on it, and I'm going to write in there fantasy bank. And then I'm just going to make this web of ideas. I'm going to start writing down everything that I think of in my fantasy bank that will give me some ideas for what I can do in a story. All right, so here I'm going to start this in just a second. All right, just thinking about this, I'm thinking about how I need to vacuum later. So what if I got sucked into my vacuum? I always have trouble spelling that. I don't think that's spelled correctly, but let's just say one idea is that I get sucked into my vacuum cleaner. Okay. Yesterday, I had to clean my fish tanks. I wasn't able to see my fish for a month, which is a whole nother story, but by the time I got to see them, they were really having some dirty algae windows. So what if I got sucked in or trapped inside my fish tank? And I'm just going to keep going with these ideas. I think I would want you to pause the video right here because I want you to think of some of your own. What are some of the things in your mind? Into your favorite book, into a video game. I'm going to stop talking because I'm going to give you ideas and I want you to think of them. I want you to formulate. So why don't you start your fantasy bank on your paper, start jotting down ideas, see if you can get 10, see if you can get 20, and then I'll come back on here with you when you hit play again and we'll talk about what I have, and you can think about what you have, and you can start thinking about what are some of your favorite ideas. Okay, so one thing I've learned is this is way more fun to do with kids who are screaming ideas at me than doing it by myself. But I'm going to show you the one that I made by myself, and then I'm going to show you some of the ones that I've done with kids before. And I would just encourage you to keep adding ideas. And if something really stands out to you as something you really just want to take off and write with, then by all means, start writing a story that takes you from where you are now to where you are when you get into this problem situation. Don't forget that in your story, you want to get out of that problem too. You want to solve it. And endings can be happy, endings can be sad, they can be exciting, they can be whatever you want them to be. But don't forget that when you create a problem, you have to get yourself out of the problem. All right, have fun and enjoy, and I look forward to seeing you in the next segment. Happy writing.